Beautiful. It's shared.
Just in time, and we are live with Blue Collar Bets. It is a great day here to be a gambler, a handicapper. I am here, of course, myself being Sam Hiller, aka Schiller. Your co-host alongside me is my co-host, Job Goddard. Cameraless to the viewers right now,
Well,
but
I'm trying here, but
Joe,
I
he's
don't
in
have the
dire
greatest
straits.
legs.
He's in dire straits right now. We appreciate him joining us, regardless of circumstance. It's a special episode. We have the Super Bowl background to prove it. Stafford and Burrow, Rams and Bengals. It is the Super Bowl. And I mean, I'm extremely, extremely excited. I think we have a great game ahead of us. It is, I believe, what is it now? 56?
It is. We are Super Bowl 56.
56. You know what's crazy is, oh man, that means we're 14 years removed from.
Don't
Uh,
mention it.
it feels so recent to me.
It
Uh,
feels recent to me too, but in a very different way.
but anyway, that's not the game we are talking about. I have a side I have placed. I have a money line I have placed. I have a couple first touchdowns that I have placed. I have a couple. I have one or two MVP votes that I have placed, and I have a couple other fun props to watch. 23 to be exact. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm only going to go through the.
23.
I'm
Oh, we're gonna
not
have a fun
placing. I'm
Sunday.
not placing all of them. They're just ones I have them as listed as props to watch. But there are certain ones that I like more than others. We will go over those. We also have fun props to go out there on, like the coin toss and
Tails never
like
fails.
the national. Don't spoil our answer. The national anthem, and we have the touchback on the first kickoff, halftime show props. I mean, this is one of the best betting days of the year by far. And I look forward to every second of it. Job, I'm going to let you kick off because I have been going from show to show to show today,
I know
dropping
you
off
have,
my
and I
picks.
very much
And
appreciate it.
that means to me, at least, that some of our followers do at least know where I'm going, even though I have not placed the bet on the our side or total or money line on Twitter yet. But I'm going to reveal it in the show so you can get it before I tweet it, because that's how much we value your time coming to our stream. Really do appreciate it. Job, what do you got?
All right. Well, I have a couple of plays on this week, but I do want to preface
I
this
want to
with
start with the side. Start with the
okay.
side,
I
and
want to
we'll
preface
move
this
from
with
there.
the reason I have this side is because I took it during championship weekend before championship games were played, and so the value was extreme. And the value that I have here is I have the Bengals to win the Super Bowl plus 800,
I
uh,
also have that.
1.3 units to win 10 units,
Right.
or
Job,
10
and
point
I do
something.
respect that. I do respect that, but I also want to note that I am asking about a side on this game in
No,
particular,
I
not a
know.
future.
I
So,
wanna
what can
just let
people?
everyone know that I come with a bias,
Yes,
right?
I understand, but
But
I
I do
also
like
want the people to remember that we are giving them picks for this week.
I do like the Rams to win this game. So if you are playing the money line, I do like the Rams. If you are playing the spread, however, I do like Evan McPherson and the Bengals. And I say that because I think he is the reason they will cover any given spread, but especially four.
All right, all right. So I'm gonna put in here Job's side pick.
That's not
Bengals
necessarily, Sam,
plus
where I
4.
want to place the most of my money. And the one thing I do want to stress to everyone listening tonight, and
We
we'll
will
do this in
label
the
our
future.
best bets. We will
No,
label our best bets.
that too. But I want to remind everyone, just because it's the Super Bowl does not mean that you have to place a 10 unit bet,
Let me
right?
ask you a question, Joe. How
Unit
many units are you
management.
putting on this? On Bengals plus 4?
Well, I have 2 units on it at the moment. I might up it to 3 units if I can get five. I think there's a chance that it gets to five before kickoff on Sunday. But then again, I don't know. The public really is starting to lean towards Joe Burrow because they like his storyline and they like what the Bengals have done so far. And that offensive line does give me trouble with a 3-unit play. So I do think I'm going to leave it at 2 units. Bengals plus 4.
All right, so I'm marking that down. I'm not gonna put it on the comments until I give my
I
side pick. Although
Sam,
I
before you
just
give out your side pick, I want to remind everyone that the model is what you have run. I have not run the model. Mine is some old school, like, bias. Yes, I looked at the numbers, but I didn't dive into the advanced stats. I did not plug it into our model. So the official pick for our stream and for our show will come from the model, and that is you. We might have differing picks.
right, and so I want to thank you for that. I appreciate the sentiment, and also I did not mean to press enter on the comment, but yes, Job's side pick is Bengals +4. My side pick is not on that comment. Obviously, I forgot to add it, and thankfully I forgot to add it because that would spoil the surprise for me. I'm gonna go on a little bit of a long-winded rant here, as I do. Not rant, but kind of discussion on how I think this game's gonna go.
Please do.
And I'm not going to give my pick out until I give out all those facts, so that the viewer can decide as well if they determined that these numbers and these facts are enough for them to take the side that I have chosen. So, factor number one is the Rams won a 3 wide receiver set 84% of the time. Cooper Kupp plays the slot there. According to Fantasy Labs matchup, that's the side he plays on the same side that Eli Apple plays on. Odell plays on the same side as well. Because Odell and Kupp often line up together. Even if Jesse Bates is able to save Eli Apple on over-the-top coverage, he can't stop both of them if they space well, which is exactly what they did against Tampa and San Francisco, and that's exactly why on those big last drives for the Rams on both of those games, they had a play that had both Odell and Cooper Kupp on one side, Cooper Kupp in the slot running it under and up, and Odell running a post, and that kind of has Jesse Bates as the lone safety up there, choosing to whether if he gives up the outside to Cooper Kupp, which is what he did in the San Francisco game, or if he takes the side and prays that Von Bell can take the middle, which is very hard for one safety to control the entire middle and other side of the field, while Jesse Bates is occupied with Cooper Kupp on the other side. And that is what we saw with the game against San Francisco, except for Cooper Kupp still got open. So if I'm the Bengals, my main job is to not allow Cooper Kupp to get that ball on the outside.
Can I say one thing, Sam?
What? What's up?
That's good luck, but it's probably still not going to happen.
Okay.
I mean, he's gonna win any one-on-one matchup you give him on the outside.
Cooper Kupp or Eli Apple? What?
Oh, no. Cooper Kupp is going to win his outside one-on-ones.
That's what I'm saying. So if I'm the Bengals, I am selling out to stop that. But that also means that you leave the middle of the field wide open. And so I do think that is a big area of concern when it comes down to a team that's playing Mike Hilton as their third corner, and he's the one that's going to be on the field 84% of the time, lined up against either Cooper Kupp or Odell Beckham Jr. And it's not him. If it's not him, it's Eli Apple. The Rams are better at defending against a 3 wide receiver set, something both teams run more than most teams do. Both teams run it over 70% of the time. According to explosive play stats on Sharp Football Stats, the Rams have the edge. They have more explosive runs, more explosive passes, and they're better at stopping explosive plays against the run and the pass. For as well as the Bengals' offensive line has played against Kansas City, we have to remember the change in competition here. Kansas City had an adjusted line yards allowed ranking of 27th and an adjusted sack rate rank of 26. That's bottom 6 in the league. The Rams are 6th in adjusted line yards allowed and 8th in adjusted sack rate.
Well, Sam, can you explain why that is?
Why the Chiefs are as bad as they are defensively, or why the Rams are as good as they are defensively?
Why the Rams are as good as they are defensively? Because people are going to look at it and they're going to say, okay, it's just Aaron Donald, or it's just Jalen Ramsey, and it's not just that.
Absolutely not. So the first thing I want to talk about there is Raheem Morris needs a lot of credit. He's someone that's consistently undervalued as a coach in the NFL. I don't know if the train wreck the Falcons were the 2 seasons before this one. He stepped in both times and righted the ship. The first time he stepped in and righted their defense. The second time he stepped in and righted their entire team. And he does not get enough credit for what he can do with the players on his defense. And now you've given him Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and all these other fantastic players. But I think Aaron Donald's a huge part of this defense, but not in the way people think. Like Aaron Donald's getting MVP traction right now on his line. It went from 20-1 down to 9-1. Now it's 6.5-1. Aaron Donald is not going to win Super Bowl MVP because Aaron Donald gets doubled 75% of the time. And that's the most impressive thing. If a player demands so much respect from your offensive line that they're rushing, even if they rush 5, that you have to double team somebody and have someone else block a defensive lineman who's not an offensive lineman because you are so scared of Aaron Donald. That is credit to Aaron Donald, but at the same time, he's not the one that has to actually physically make the play. He's the one that attracts all that attention. And sometimes he still breaks free. And that's Aaron Donald because he's one of the best. He's the best defensive player I've ever seen play in my life. Now, I never saw Lawrence Taylor.
I was just going to say,
Lawrence Taylor is the best defensive player of all time. Do not get that twisted. But in my lifetime, I've never seen anyone like Aaron Donald. So it's definitely about him. But Raheem Morris also knows that with the edge rushers that he has in Von Miller and Leonard Floyd, and we'll talk a lot more about Von Miller a little later in the episode. But with those edge rushers that he has, he doesn't need Aaron Donald to be the pass rusher because Aaron Donald can do everything. So instead of having him do the pass rushing, they've realized that if they have him do the run stuffing and clogging up the middle of the field, that Leonard Floyd and Von Miller are capable of getting to the quarterback, and they have a lot easier time doing so when Aaron Donald's in the middle rather than pass rushing off the edge. So a big change that the Rams have made over the course of the season that I think has helped them a lot is once they acquired Von Miller, they moved Aaron Donald a lot more to the inside. We saw a lot more of Von Miller coming off of the edge along with Leonard Floyd rather than Aaron Donald, and that change has really made this a lethal defense. And when you look at the fact that they are able to generate pressure with these guys while still having a very solid secondary that has very good numbers against 3 wide receiver sets. You have to understand that it's not just the talent that's Ramsey and Aaron Donald because they do lack in other areas like the talent level in the linebacking core. Troy Reeder has some question marks around him as well. But Raheem Morris does a very good job of putting the players on this defense to do their best job. So it's kind of a long-winded way of saying that they have experienced coaching, which is incredibly important in this game because the Bengals, their 2 coordinators, their offensive and defensive coordinators, this is their first year on the job. This is Zach Taylor's third.
I was going to say, not to mention, Zach Taylor is not exactly an experienced coach.
No, and this kind of brings me it brings me some little reminiscence of the Rams in their first Super Bowl with Sean McVay, where they were an uber talented team with a very potent big play offense. But they just were outclassed when they went up against someone who had been there before. Now, I'm not saying McVay is now like Belichick because in no way is that the case.
Just making sure.
But yes, I trust me, I know. But I am saying that he is the more experienced coach here, and he's been kicking himself every single day since that loss. So just going back into this defensive line thing a little bit. The Rams had 50 sacks this season. That's third in the league, and this is still the offensive line for the Bengals. That's 15th in adjusted line yards, and 31st in adjusted sack rate allowed. They give up 55 sacks in the regular season, third most only to Baltimore and Chicago. That's not a good comparison. The strength of the Cincinnati O-line comes from their left side.
Hold on, not to mention a key stat. They give up 9 sacks to the Titans in that win.
9 sacks. By the way, I saw a great video on TikTok, and I don't know who to credit, but someone, if they could tell me, that'd be great. Someone found out that the odds of someone winning a football game in the NFL after getting sacked 9 times is near 10%. So, I mean, it was a great game, but is Matthew Stafford going to throw a pick on the first play of the game, first play of the second half, and last play of the game? I just don't necessarily know if that's the bailout that they're going to get. The strength of the Cincinnati O-line comes from Jonah Williams and Quentin Spain.
Hold on 1 second. I do have breaking news from Adam Schefter. Sean McVay is giving a statement right now to the press in which he has intimated TV is a possibility in his future. And that's not to say way down the line, not necessarily also imminent, but it could be something to watch over the next couple of years, especially if he does lose in Sunday's game.
Well, absolutely. To be completely honest with you, I don't know what to do with that news right now.
There's nothing to do with it as far as I think, lines. It's just we are the source and we will be giving people the news as it breaks. I do want to state, and I don't mean to cut you off so much about the coaching. I do think Sean McVay is the second best coach in the NFL at the moment.
I
Um,
disagree, but we can talk about that at
I
some
do
other
also
point.
want to say I think there's a giant difference in his legacy between going to the Super Bowl, twice in 40 years, once with Jared Goff, who's not a good quarterback, um, and winning, and going twice in 4 years and losing both times. There's a giant sway in how people will view him moving forward as a head coach if he loses on Sunday.
Yeah, if and I don't mean to be abrupt, but if I could just move back a little bit into
Oh, absolutely. I'm
what
sorry
I
to
was going.
interrupt.
No, no worries. I just wanted to make sure that I get everything out that I wanted to get out about the preview on this game, so that I can get my side. Um, the offensive line for the Bengals is strongest on the left side. That's not the side that Donald and Miller line up on. They're facing Hakeem Adeniji, and I hope I pronounced that right, and Isaiah Prince, who have both been pretty bad this season. This also lowers the possibility of Burrow being able to escape out to the right that often, and increases the possibility that Von Miller gets to have Burrow step up into him. The Rams convert on third down often. I think they're fifth in the league or sixth in the league. Cincinnati has trouble getting teams off the field. I think they're 21st in the league in defensive third down conversion percentage, and are only 12th in the league themselves in staying on the field on third down. And it's very interesting because Cincy gets themselves into a lot of third and long situations. Going back to Sharp Football statistics, since he has 118 plays in a 3rd and 6 or longer situation where they have thrown the ball,
To CJ
118.
Uzoma or Jamar Chase, by the
They
way.
have a 30% successful play rate in those situations. 30%.
Sam, could you
This is a
educate viewers as to what the average is in the NFL in those situations as well?
I can try and find it, but
Or just give me another benchmark. Like who is first?
putting me on the spot. Let me
I am putting
find.
you on the spot, and while you
No,
look
it's
for
okay.
that,
I just gotta find it.
I do want to mention, third and long, people are going to think about Joe Burrow and the interception off of Joe Mixon's hands in third and long against Tennessee. Third and long is where people get into trouble. It's where quarterbacks look for their one X receiver, and if that guy's not open, it usually ends in a punt. The Bengals have been good at not punting the ball in these playoffs. They've been getting a lot of field goals. That's why one of my plays down the line we're going to talk about is a prop on the kicker. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Sam, but do you have that number by any chance?
I'm trying to load it up right now. I'm on situational success rates.
And
Lord.
just for the viewers, I don't usually try to put Sam on the spot. I want him to appear super informed, but I did put him on the spot for this one. He didn't have that stat pulled up. I apologize.
Absolutely rude of you, Job.
It's rude of me. I'm sorry.
It's rude of this website to not have the numbers up when I need them.
That's to be expected.
All right. Well, it's not loading fast enough, and I don't want to delay the show. But what I will say is that there are teams that do hover around the 40 and 50% range, mostly being the Chiefs, because they do rank first in third down conversion percentage, and they are able to get big plays. So the Chiefs are kind of an outlier there. That's why I didn't really want to use them. That's the only team I could really get to load before the website shut down on me. But it's a major advantage for the Rams there, especially when you look at the four-man pass rush that they're able to get while dropping guys back into coverage on third and long. My conclusion here is this. I believe in Joe Burrow. I do. I bet him on the way here. I have Bengals plus 800, just like I have Rams plus 800. I have both futures, so I'm good to go there. I'm going to make profit on this Super Bowl. But I also do believe there's regression to the mean here that has to happen. Cincinnati has had the 31st ranked schedule in terms of defensive ability of their opponents due to defensive ranking. The Chiefs were a great matchup for them because of their secondary problems. 1 second, my mic. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're all set. You're very clear.
Sorry, my mic popped out for a second. The Chiefs were a great matchup for them because of their secondary problems. But when they play top 10 teams this season, which has only happened twice, besides the Chiefs, teams that are not the Chiefs, they've lost.
Do you know who those teams are?
Those teams were, and I actually have that one.
Look at me, putting you on the spot for the first time in weeks, and it happens to be in the biggest show of the season.
Yeah, who could have freaking guessed?
Well, I could have guessed. I like putting you on the spot. I do want to say, Sam, I want to ask you this rather.
Wait, I
In
almost got it.
practice,
I almost got it.
okay,
It's loading. It's loading. It's loading. All right. So those opponents were Green Bay in Week 5
makes
and
sense.
San Francisco in Week 14.
Makes sense.
Both losses. So yeah,
Both
those are the
great teams. People are going to
both
point to
teams.
quarterbacks, but Jimmy Garoppolo is not the reason they
Listen,
lost
Jimmy
that game.
Garoppolo ended up being in the top 4 teams this year in the Final Four. So whatever you want to say about him, his team was there. I'll finish with this. I do like Joe Burrow. I believe in this Bengals team. I believe in their future. I don't think this is their time. I think this team is kind of reminiscent of that
Oh,
Rams team
or
in
that
the sense that
0-1
in
Patriots team.
that no, in the sense that they are not necessarily prepared for this game and they do not have the experience necessary. They've won some big games to get here that people did not expect them to. But I expect the Rams to control this game. I'll talk a little more about who I think is going to control this game a little later on because I'm trying to get my side pick in. But I believe that the Rams will win this game and cover the 4. I have this game going 30-24, maybe 30-23. I don't know. But I like it. I like 4. I like 4.5. Would be hesitant to go over 5, but I also would not be surprised, and I would be remiss if I did not mention that the Rams have home field advantage. The Rams are playing in their home stadium. The only time we've seen this happen before this was last year was the Bucks. They blew the Chiefs out of the water, which was something that a lot of people did not expect as well. I like the Rams to win and cover in this game. And I have a lot of props I'd like to get to, so I will stop it there.
Well, speaking of props, I do want to mention that my favorite prop of the week is Evan McPherson over 1.5 field goals plus 145. I just think that he's been too good and they trust him too much for that not to hit. And my other favorite prop is also a kicking prop, so I'm just going to jump to that as well before I give it back to you. And that's
Yeah.
going to be longest field goal over 47.5 yards.
All right. One more thing that I kind of want to throw in there. This is not going to be popular by any means. I understand that. I respect that. But we're in the Super Bowl. This is a one and done game. So sometimes you kind of have to eat a little chunk on value if you think you have it, even if it doesn't seem like it in person. I think the Rams are going to win this game by more than 5 to 6 points. That means I think the money line should be more closer to 240, 250. I know I don't like giving out this kind of play, but I forgot to mention, first of all, that the side is going to be for 3 units, and I'm going to have 3 more units on the Rams money line at minus 200 to win 1.5.
That's bold considering you could just sit back and collect, 4 units. But I do like it. I love making money on the Super Bowl, as you know. Sam, let's get to some of these props that you have. What are your favorite ones?
All right, so you know my favorite one already.
I know I do, but educate the listeners.
My favorite one. Okay, listen. I'm gonna start with the out there stuff because people love the out there stuff.
Absolutely, they do. Same game parlays incoming.
No, maybe I'm only giving that stuff out on Sunday on our stream. That's an exclusive Source podcast material stream. But I will say that I think Von Miller is at a very, very tasty price for Super Bowl MVP, and I know that draws laughter from people probably,
It shouldn't.
but it shouldn't. Von Miller's done this before, and he's not necessarily even that old, and he's played incredibly well for the Rams since he's gotten there. One might even say he's been their best pass rusher
I have one question.
because Aaron Donald's been grabbed up by 2 guys every time he goes. What's up?
Well, you pegged this game as a 30-24 game, somewhere in that range. If there's going to be 30 points scored, how can Aaron Donald or even Von Miller win MVP?
It's a fair question, but here's what I'll say, Joe. My my prop bet does not necessarily have to line up with my model's play.
Of course not. I
I
mean, look,
have
it's a long
this is
shot
this is
play.
this is a play. This is at 36-1 odds. So I'm not assuming that how I predict this game to go is at 36-1 odds. I'm assuming with Von Miller to win MVP, there's a couple things that have to happen. First of all, Matthew Stafford has to throw 1 or 2 picks. If the Rams have to win this, the Rams have to win this game. Stafford has to throw 1 or 2 picks, just so it's not clearly him. Second of all,
come here. Hey, stop licking my fucking back.
Are you, Romeo?
I apologize. The dog.
There's a dog. Job has a dog who is next to him.
The dog is licking my back. He does not like my my location at the moment.
No. But regardless, Von Miller, as we talked about earlier, Aaron Donald draws a lot of double teams. He's already on the weaker side of the offensive line. Von Miller is going to get a lot of speed rushes off the outside. And if Joe Burrow tries to step up to the right, which is his favorite side to step up to, I think Von Miller has a great shot of not only being to chase him down, but hopefully forcing a fumble. Maybe that's part of the points. Maybe there's a safety. Maybe that's part of the points. Maybe he tips the ball in the air and picks it off and sixes it. That's part of the points. They run a lot of screens, and I'm sure that the Rams have been preparing for it. All I know is Von Miller is someone who's been prepared for these kinds of games his entire life, and I don't necessarily see Aaron Donald being the MVP in this game because I think that if the Bengals have any respect for themselves whatsoever, they will have spent this past 2 weeks preparing for Aaron Donald, and you have to. Because if you don't, you're an idiot. But at that same time, that opens up the area for Leonard Floyd and Von Miller to get the job done from their end. Von Miller's on the weaker side of the offensive line. I really like him at a 36-1 odds, especially because he's done this before. Von Miller to win MVP is a prop that I think is fun.
I want to point out to the listeners who don't necessarily watch a lot of Bengals games, the weak side of the offensive line for the Bengals has been that right side that Joe Burrow steps up to, as Sam mentioned. It's been one of the lowest grades in the entire league on that right side. Their left side has been rather strong, but if you have to double team Aaron Donald, you're going to give up a free rusher, as Sam said. I like the value on a guy who's already won it once. I mean, he won that Super Bowl. He carried Peyton Manning to that Super Bowl in Super Bowl 50. Anyone who wants to disagree with that, they can. They'll be wrong. If I think the Rams were going to win this game outright by that many points, I would probably agree with you. I would love to take the value at 36-1. As you know, Sam, I have 35-1. I placed it before championship weekend on Jamar Chase. Now, I know you don't think that it's possible a wide receiver is going to win over a quarterback in this scenario.
Only if the quarterback throws at least 2 interceptions.
And the way that you think this game is going to go, that's a possibility. Right now,
I don't think it's possible for the Bengals to win while Joe Burrow throws 2 interceptions. I'll put that way.
I understand that. Let me just point out a couple of stats to the listeners and to the viewers here before they write off my pick as, too far gone. Jamar Chase has been far and away the best one-on-one rookie receiver that we have seen in our lifetime, Sam. There's no doubt that his connection with Joe Burrow.
Hold up. Zone, are you putting Randy Moss before our lifetime?
Yes. Okay.
I'm just
because Randy Moss's prime was when we were too young to really engage. Now I know he was great with the Patriots. Randy Moss is the best receiver I've ever seen. I'm talking about rookie seasons here, in the last 10 years. Let's do it that way just to make it easier. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have that connection from LSU that everyone talked about. Everyone, myself included, we trashed the Bengals for not taking a tackle to protect Joe Burrow coming off the ACL. And I'm willing to admit I was wrong. I think Jamar Chase has been the X factor for the Bengals. That connection has been brilliant. And he's put up 200 yards in a couple of games this season, including a game against the Ravens before they were super injured that I was at. And I watched him just absolutely burn that secondary. That secondary had 2 all-pros, covering wide receivers, and he was able to burn them both. And Marlon Humphrey was still healthy as well. So I see it as great value for a guy that I think is going to catch at least 2 touchdowns, that I think is going to get 11-plus targets, and that I think is one of the 2 best wide receivers on the field in this game.
Sorry, I was having some tech issues. Yeah, I definitely think Jamar Chase is a good shout for this game. He's obviously going to get involved in some facet. I struggle to see his deep ball opportunity if Jalen Ramsey shades him or shadows him. Um, I think that matchup is definitely one to watch. Another matchup that I kind of wanted to allude to that I kind of talked about earlier was Odell Beckham Jr. and whoever the hell he's on. I think it's going to
Well,
be Eli Apple.
let me put it this way: Odell Beckham Jr. in my mind has been the single. If it wasn't Joe Burrow for comeback player of the year or Dak Prescott, I would have given it to Odell Beckham if it was a mid-year award. Like if we could vote on who had the best second half after the worst first half, it would be Odell Beckham. Now the Browns are bad enough, and especially at quarterback, that they convinced us that this guy was done. And Sam, you know what he was like when he was young, but he's been lethal for the Rams going down the stretch. I love this. I love this prop. I don't even know where you're going with it, and yet anything with OBJ, I love.
Yeah, I'm putting it in the chat now. One of my best bets of the weekend is going to be Odell Beckham Jr. over 66.5 yards. I forgot to put the line in there. It's minus 115. I'm sure if you juice it up to 70, you can get a better line on it. This is just what I saw while I found it. Another prop that I found that I like is Odell touchdown and the Rams to win, plus 130. I also
like that.
saw Odell Beckham Jr. 101 receiving yards or more, plus 300. I also like Odell to have the most receiving yards in the game, plus 700. These are all different options that you can take if you want the better number.
Which one is the best bet of the weekend?
My best bet is the weekend is the one I have on the screen right now. Over 66.5 yards. I will tell you.
It's going to be Eli Apple. He's another former Giant. I know you're not super high on him. He's been okay this year, especially in that scheme.
He's been okay, and he makes a couple plays here and there, but he's also helped out by one of the best coverage safeties in the league, Jesse Bates, over the top. Jesse Bates is going to have his hands full with Cooper Kupp. I just think Odell is someone who loves making magic over the middle of the field, especially with yards after the catch, which is another reason why I like this number. I think he can get this in 2 catches with the way that he runs down the field, and they've kind of gotten him on more and more deep balls as the years progressed and as they work him more and more into this offense. So I really, really like over 66.5 yards. I think Odell Beckham Jr. has been waiting for this moment for a lot of his life. He doesn't know if he's going to get this again, and he's going to make the most of it. And Sean McVay knows that of his wide receivers, even though Cooper Kupp is definitely the best wide receiver, Odell Beckham Jr. is the best playmaker after the catch. And that's not a detriment. That's not a detriment to Cooper Kupp. Yeah, and you have Matt Stafford, who plays best under the blitz, and you have 3 wide receivers who run out on the field 84% of the time. So if they blitz, someone's going to be open, and I think it's going to be Odell in the middle of the field, especially with the usual middle of the field guy, Tyler Higbee, being ruled out today. I do like Kendall Blanton for a couple yards and catches here and there, but I think the main middle of the field guy is going to be Odell Beckham Jr. Over 66.5 yards. I'm going to have 2 units on this. I do not usually put 2 units on a prop play, but I think Odell Beckham Jr. has a whale of a game, and I personally can see him getting into the triple-digit territory. So 66.5 is absolutely nothing for me to lay juice on.
Yeah, I love this play. Like I mentioned, I'm going to trail it. Sam, let's move on to the smaller plays that you have for props. Some of the more fun kind of out there props as we get there, because we do have 5 minutes left in our show here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I thought we had 10. I thought we had.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. I misread the clock. We have 9 minutes and 30 seconds left.
Yeah, my apologies. I'm going to put this one up as well in a second. Let me finish typing it out. Alrighty. We have no touchback on the first kickoff. Minus 110.
This I like. And this.
Job, there is science behind this. There's data. This
Spit
is,
it at me and give it to me really quick.
You know how 2 years ago when we had the national anthem bet, there was science and data? Here it is. All right. There's an article posted by The Score. I want to give credit where credit's due. They posted a quote from Pat McAfee, who said, What's very different about the Super Bowl kicking ball, as opposed to most kicking balls, usually before the game, the kicker gets to break the ball in, work it in. In the Super Bowl, you don't get to do that. You don't get to handle the ball until kickoff. So Pat McAfee claimed that kicking the ball, as he did in the Super Bowl, he kicked off to Devin Hester, who returned it for a touchdown. He did not want to get that ball to him, but he said it felt like he was kicking a big shiny ball of plastic. So this prop has been offered for the last 28 Super Bowls. You want to tell me how many times there's been a touchback, Joe? 2.
Only 2?
2 touchbacks. This is a 26 of 28 prop. This hits at 93%, and we get it at -110. Why? There must be a catch. Why? Because Evan McPherson's got a boot, Matt Gay's got a boot, and they all kick for touchbacks all season long. And the public sees that, and they say, oh, well, they kick for a touchback all season long. They're going to kick for another touchback again. And this line was actually at +135 before this article was released by the Score. It's now down to -110. Both kickers individually, no touchback on their first kickoff is -120 now, because Vegas is starting to see
Now, Sam,
that
I have a question.
this is cashed 26 out of the last 28 Super Bowls. There's not going to be a touchback on the first kickoff, and that's a prop bet that you can get out of the way easy on the first play.
Well, now, Sam, you mentioned that the line is -120 on both sides. Would you take that both ways with McPherson and Gay?
Well, I thought about doing that, but my problem with that is there's no data on the second kickoff.
Time to start collecting.
McPherson and Matt Gay, we don't know which one's going to get the first kickoff. So, I mean, hopefully if you take both of them don't kick it up. But this play is mainly on the first kickoff, when that ball is removed from whatever packaging it's in, whatever handling it's in, and it's first given to the kicker for the first kickoff in the game. No one has touched that ball yet, and it's shiny, and it feels like kicking a piece of plastic, according to Pat McAfee. I'm going to ride with McAfee on this one. I'm taking no touchback, -110 on the first kickoff.
I love it. I don't have any more props to get to, so what else you got?
I got more.
Hit me.
I have over 3. I'm just going to speed through them now, I guess, because I don't really have time to write the banners out.
Just give them to us, and we'll write the banners on Twitter afterwards. For anyone who does not yet follow us on Twitter and is watching this on Facebook or the Blue Collar Media Group elsewhere, you can find us on Twitter at Source Podcast 11. That's Source Podcast 11 on Twitter, or you can find us at www.sourcepodcast.com.
Absolutely, and we will have a long and detailed article coming out either tomorrow or Sunday morning detailing why we like the plays that we do. Speed round through them. I like over 3.5 total field. Is that what it is? Let me just confirm.
3.5.
3.5 total field goals, I believe, is the line. Or total made field goals, I should say. Yeah, I have over 3.5 +120. I really like that because even though the Bengals have a very good offense and they're very capable of moving the ball down the field very quickly, they also are, I believe, 22nd in red zone scoring efficiency touchdown-wise, so they kick a lot of field goals. I also believe that the Rams are going to play it safe and conservatively. They're in the lead, which I believe they will be, and that involves kicking on short yardage, fourth down situations. So I really like over 3.5 field goals there. What else? I'm looking through. Oh, yeah. Matt Stafford to throw a touchdown pass in the first quarter, +142.
+142. I do love that value. If they do score, it will be throwing the football.
Absolutely. And I think that I think you're crazy if you don't think Sean McVay has a couple plays that he has drawn up to start the game up big for the Los Angeles Rams. They're at their home stadium. When they get the ball, they want to make a splash. I think Matt Stafford and Sean McVay have been planning something all week. I'm hoping it's to Odell Beckham Jr. because I also like him at first touchdown +600, although I got it at +800 a couple days ago. So I don't necessarily like how it's dropped that much. But that being said, I really do like I like the numbers there. I really do.
It's tough not to when you point out the statistics that are already there. What I really like about this is, as I mentioned, I think McVay is one of the best coaches in the league at the moment. They also don't have their best running back in Henderson. And I don't think Cam Akers is going to get the goal line carries. I think it's going to be Sony Michel. I just don't think that he gets it done. I mean, I've seen Sony Michel most of his career in a Patriots uniform. He's very good inside the 10. He's a good power runner. But when you have weapons like Cooper Kupp, Higbee, if he can play, I don't know yet what his injury status is.
He's out.
He's out. Okay, well, that changes a little bit. But I was going to say, you have Cooper Kupp and OBJ, who on any team other than their own team, they're both wide receiver one. It's tough, and Cooper Kupp's having one of the best seasons we've ever seen. And the Bengals don't necessarily have a deadly pass rush to hurry Matt Stafford, even with Trey Hendrickson 100% healthy, and I don't think that he is. So it's going to be interesting to see which way they go with it. I'm very excited for this game. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple more things I want to do before I wrap up because I want to throw a bone to our Bengals fan viewers. I do have props on the Bengals. I know a lot of these have been Rams guys. So let me throw a couple at them. Logan Wilson to record interception is plus 425. Matt Stafford does have issues with throwing picks, and he has these issues with good coverage linebackers that are good at baiting and reading eyes. Fans who have been watching the Bengals all year know how Logan Wilson is great at reading quarterbacks' eyes as well as tackling. I'm not trying to take away from his abilities in that side of the game, but Logan Wilson is good at reading the quarterback, and I think that if they get a pick and it's a linebacker, Logan Wilson is a good chance of being that guy at plus 425. Mike Hilton to record the first interception in the game. This is kind of a wild one, but it's 1250. I just think that that's kind of a high line considering that he's going to be on the field for at least 84% of the
snaps.
And
I think he's going to be, a very viable option considering how weak, the secondary for both teams are outside the top guy.
Well, absolutely. And when you look at, the number, yes, he's a slot corner, so it should be high, but slot corners who play against the Rams are on the field 84% of the time.
As they should be, because you need to have wide receivers to get open against that good pass rush. You don't have a lot of time to hold the ball.
So Mike Hilton to get the first interception of the game. I know I just said Logan Wilson could be the guy. Mike Hilton could be too. These are long shot bets. My final long shot, I have two long shot bets that I'm going to put a quarter of a unit on because it's fun. Well, first of all, before I do that, we at the Source Podcast support taking tails.
Absolutely. Tails never fail.
An advertisement for Tails. If you don't take Tails, you're not with us.
Want to repeat the advice that I gave you?
Yes, Joe. I was going to take him through right now. Joe told me something very interesting the other day. I think he found it on the internet.
I did not. I found that from an old friend.
All right. And I believe the old friend found it on the internet because he told me that. But basically, if you're betting the coin toss, if you bet Tails and you lose, it sucks. But it is what it is,
Absolutely.
But if you bet heads and it's Tails, you're the biggest idiot in the entire world.
Absolutely.
How did you not take Tails? Tails never fails. It's easy. It's
Sam,
the easiest
can I add to that? If you're
Absolutely.
having a Super Bowl party the way that we are and the way that a lot of our friends are and people that we know and family members, that's a good bet for everyone to get in on together. The game doesn't even have to start yet.
Nope. So I'm a big Tails supporter. The last two things that I want to get into here. First one, 15-1 odds. Matt Stafford to have a reception in this NFL game.
Oh, I like it. I love it.
The second one, Joe Burrow to have a reception in the game. Plus
I like both.
Here's my reasoning. For the Rams, it's none other than the fact that Odell Beckham Jr. loves to throw the football. He can throw the football. He's done it before in a lot of trick plays. Philly special is a nice pastime everyone remembers fondly. But obviously, if he gets a throwing opportunity, he's going to try to go downfield. But if I'm the Bengals, I see that happen. Everyone's going to Cooper Kupp at all costs. Everyone's heading downfield. Leave Matt Stafford by himself. Why not? And if pressure gets to him, dump off to Matt Stafford. Could be fun.
Stafford.
On the other side, Joe Burrow is going to be getting the hell blitzed out of him. You're crazy if you don't think that the Bengals have drawn up some kind of trick play so that he's not under pressure.
Oh, absolutely.
And maybe that involves a reverse pass. Something where he's not the guy throwing the ball, but actually the guy in the field. Now, I'm not saying either of these are going to hit. In fact, I'm most likely saying neither of them are going to hit. They're not my best bets. But what I will say is if one of these hits,
You can thank
oh my God, you can just talk about it forever. I had Matt Stafford to catch a pass in the Super Bowl. Who's going to talk to you about that?
not
So
many.
I don't know.
That makes you a guru. You heard it here first. Matt
But
Stafford's going to catch a pass in the
I
Super Bowl.
want to preface that. I want to follow that up by saying bet the spread and bet the money line more than any other prop. I have 3 on both. That's what we're going to put out for the source. We might have a total play, we might not. We're going to have the Odell yardage as a play for us. So if you are on this live stream, you got it before the rest of Twitter does. Thank you for being here. Congratulations on that one. We're going to cash it together. Hopefully, we don't move it too much when we hit it. Obviously, that's a joke. But I also really want to emphasize. I did this on the Sharp Rank show earlier. But bet responsibly. Bet smart, not hard. At the end of the day, we are still trying to be profitable gamblers, profitable cappers, and throwing small amounts of money on fun props here and there. The Super Bowl is fine. It's great. I love doing it. It's fun. But please do not mess too much with your capital. Do not exercise bankroll management, unit management, work in units, and let's have a great time. Let's watch a great football game on Sunday. We are going to be back with a lot more in the future. I'm going to be on the General's show on Sunday morning. We're also going to have our own stream on Sunday, and we're going to have an article out with a list of plays with reasoning behind all of them. Don't be afraid to contact us in the DMs at Source Podcast 11, and you can find us on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and Spotify, and anywhere else that you listen to podcasts at the Source Podcast with Job Goddard and Sam Hiller. It's a mouthful, it's an earful, but that's how you find us. And you can't find information like this anywhere else. Thank you to our editor, and thank you to our
Hold on.
partners.
Before you say our thank yous and sign offs, I do want to remind everyone that you were on today with members of FanDuel, NBC, and a couple of other networks, that they can find that episode also breaking down the Super Bowl. It will be a lot of the same information, but not all the same information. If they follow Sharp Rank, that's Sharp_rank. They're one of our partners that I want to make sure people pay good attention to. It's a great way to track your bets and also verifiable handicappers on their platform.
Absolutely. And they are the exclusive tracker of the Source Podcast. You can find all of our picks tracked on their app. It's a great app, and there are some great people there. You can find that. It's also linked on our page. So, yeah, thank you to BCMG for allowing us to do the show again. We have a great time doing this Blue Collar Bets show. Hopefully, we're going to have a couple guests on soon, but this is a big Super Bowl episode, and we wanted to make sure we got all this information out to you in a timely manner, which we tried to do our best at. Thank you to Joe for being such a spirited co-host, even though he's not necessarily in a great spot to do a show. Really appreciate you putting,
of course, brother, and
a voice to it, to the crazy that you provide. And yeah, thank you to our editor, Aiden. Thank you to BCMG. Thank you to Sharp Rank. And thank you to football gods, because my God, I love this sport. And I love
I don't know what I'm gonna do in the
Super
spring.
Bowl Sunday.
Super
You
Bowl.
know what we're going to do in the spring? We're going to watch the USFL or whatever the hell that is. That'll do it for us here at Blue Collar Bets, here in Blue Collar Media Group with the Source Podcast. Hit us up in the DMs if you got any more questions, and